Hey friends, here Chris again, episode 5 of Learning to Live by Sitting with the Dying. There's some faces you just don't forget. His is one of them. He was only in his 50s. He had a devastating neurological disease that had taken almost everything from him. He couldn't walk. He couldn't communicate. His body had become so unstable that he wore a helmet to protect his head from any falling or falls he may have. His brain couldn't process things quickly enough for him to protect himself. He was incapacitated. Most of our communication was just through his eyes. A nod, a facial expression. And eventually, success for us meant just a smile. He was completely dependent on other people, vulnerable. And he was vulnerable to how other people chose to treat him. When I first met him, he was living in a locked men's unit of an institutional facility. He wasn't dangerous. He wasn't violent. He wasn't a threat to anybody. He was just there. He was a ward of the state, had a court-appointed guardian. But his room told the story. No television, no photographs, no artwork, no artifacts from a life that said, a human being lives here. None of that. He had been placed with a roommate who was verbally and physically abusive towards him and everybody. This man couldn't defend himself. He could barely even tell someone what was happening. I'll never forget the time that I walked in for the first time with my social worker colleague. There's about a half inch of water standing across the floor. The toilet had overflowed all night because the roommate been acting up and acting out. And there he was, unable to leave, unable to fix it, unable to protect himself. I remember looking at his eyes. He looked terrified. Sometimes vulnerability has a face. And once you see it, it's hard to look away. So we walked into that room and did something incredibly ordinary. We called him by his name. We got close enough that he could see us. We spoke directly to him, not around him. We asked questions about his life, even though answering was incredibly difficult for him. Our voices, our faces, our posture, body language, everything was just trying to communicate, we see you. You matter. We are here for you. And you are not invisible anymore. And when we communicated that well, in all the ways, he smiled. I'll never forget that smile. But it was just a little bit, so we kept coming back regularly. We kept calling him by his name. We kept treating him as a person rather than a diagnosis or a case number. Not a ward of the state, not another body occupying a bed. And every time we treated him like a person and gave him dignity, the smile got bigger. Eventually, he was separated from that roommate who was bullying him. He got his own room. He was able to get out in his wheelchair in the common area and watch TV. He could be around other people. These weren't miracles. They're just ordinary acts of human dignity. But sometimes it feels miraculous when you've been deprived of human dignity. There's a verse about Jesus that's been long foundational, at least for me. It's in Matthew 9, and it simply says, when he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep with no shepherd. They were the harassed and the helpless. And when Jesus saw vulnerable people, he saw them differently than the powerful people of his day did. He didn't see weakness as something to exploit. He didn't see helplessness as a failure on their part. He didn't see marginalized people as problems that we should all control. He saw them, and he had compassion on them. There's a Greek word that's used in that ancient text, Matthew 9, and it's splanchnizomai. Splanchnizomai, funny word, Greek word, Koine Greek. And this Greek word means more than feeling for somebody. It describes something visceral, like something that literally happens in your guts. You see suffering and something inside you aches. It hurts. And it makes you move towards it. That's the part of the Christian story I don't want us to lose in modern America. Because there's a version of Christianity being produced in America today and practiced that seems far more interested in dominance than compassion. More interested in winning than protecting. More interested in deciding who deserves our care and moving towards those who are harassed and helpless. This Jesus character had an instinct toward vulnerable people that wasn't dominance. It was compassion. Whatever privilege, strength, voice, or influence you have can become shelter for somebody who doesn't have it. You don't have to be a hospice chaplain. You don't have to be a healthcare worker. These people are everywhere. They're in the stores we visit. They're sitting in the classrooms that we teach. They're on the teams that we coach. They're working beside us. They're walking the streets of our own cities. Some of them might even be sitting quietly in your own family. People who have learned not to expect anyone to notice them or pay attention. And maybe our job isn't to fix their lives. Maybe our responsibility is simply just to communicate. I see you. I hear you. You're worthy of protection. You're worthy of dignity. You're worthy of taking up space in this world. I'll never forget that man's smile. Because I think inside a body that had stopped cooperating with him, there was still a human soul saying, "You see me." And maybe that's the question I just want to leave with us today. For the harassed and helpless, what are we doing with our strength on their behalf? What are we doing with our voice, with our influence, with our position, with our privilege. When we encounter the harassed and the helpless, do we move toward them or away from them? And perhaps the most haunting question, does our heart break with the things that break the heart of God, the God of compassion? Maybe the dying still have something to teach us about how to live. Peace, my friends.